4,000 years ago, and probably many of you are familiar with this, but I would, unless I knew otherwise, I'd say that Kuang Yu, the emperor of the first dynasty of China, was probably the start of feng shui. I don't know, but feng shui goes back a long time, and 4,000 years ago is a long time back. But he made a decree which the American Dowser some years ago had an article on, and they had the woodcut that had been cut from the decree, that he decreed that no person could build their home without first having it checked for what he called the claw of the dragon. And what he was talking about was geopathic energy. I think we've identified at least 3 different kinds of geopathic energies, and of course there's probably a 4th. Underground flowing water was one of the things that people through the ages have been concerned about. It isn't water, it's flowing water. And why is flowing water a problem? Because flowing water, whether it's in a pipe or whether it's pushing through the ground, especially in things like clay, which is very tight. So there's tremendous resistance when water is trying to move through the earth or move through pipe. And they can take a voltmeter and hook onto the side of a metal pipe where water is flowing through it, and you get a voltage reading. It strips off electrons and it makes a rising field. And the field will rise straight up from flowing water, and the water can be any depth under the ground. It could be 1,000 feet down, or it can be 200 feet down, or it can be 10 feet down. But that energy rises straight up. At night, they say that the gamma radiation also, which is like X-ray, it gives off weak gamma radiation, and at night it's like 5 times stronger, and they don't know why that is. But the flowing water strips off electrons because of the friction of moving through the ground. And so that's what makes it harmful. Your body is predominantly minus polarity on the left side and predominantly plus polarity on the right. And minus polarity is like North Pole magnetism, north of the Earth. North Pole magnetism. If it's strong, it kills cancer and it stops infections. And plus polarity is also good because plus polarity makes things grow. If your body is injured, then if you didn't have an infection, your body can switch polarity and make something heal rapidly. If you have an infection and you're subjected to plus polarity, like too much coming in on electrical wires, or a battery clock right at your head in bed, or something like that, it's all plus polarity. So if you have too much plus polarity and you already have cancer starting, or you have an ear infection or something like that, then it spreads. And that's one of the problems. Most of the noxious zones in the earth that you see, ones we'd call noxious or geopathic, harmful, are plus polarity. But too much of either polarity can imbalance you. And our human body, you know, we evolved in a very simple environment, and mankind has made it a very complicated one. The Romans grazed sheep where they were going to build a community. If they wanted to start a city, they grazed sheep, and then they would autopsy the sheep after they grazed there a while and see what their liver and other things looked like to be sure the sheep were healthy before they would put people there. In 1900 to 1940, a 40-year study, the government of the Netherlands researched the effects of flowing water on health of people over it. And the study was done by Deal and Tromp. In 1940, Germany invaded the Netherlands. So the study was never published until 1954. But it was a 40-year study, and they found that without exception, people sleeping over chalk areas or places like that where there wasn't flowing water, that they were healthy and happy. And people sleeping in wet clay areas or over underground flowing water, that they had high incidences of cancer. If you're sleeping over something like that and you do nothing about it, then usually it shows up either of 2 ways. It shows up either as arthritis or it shows up as cancer, and I may be wrong, but I don't think I can remember a case where somebody had arthritis and cancer at the same time. They may, I don't know. But it seems to me your body normally, it just says, hey, I can't handle this, and it can go that way or it can go this way. Dr. Jenny of the Children's Hospital in Anna, Switzerland, did tests from 1934 to 1940, and he took mice in cages and put the cages so that the mice nest was over a geopath, a flowing underground stream of water, but the rest of the nest was off of it. And he found that where they put the mice's nest over the geopath, 1,626 mice slept in their nests, but they developed tumors and they killed their young in some cases and did things like that. 6,434, as compared to 1,600, wouldn't go in their nests. They weren't willing to go into their nest. They wanted to be in their nest, but they'd rather sleep out in the cage where it was uncomfortable and then go in their nest because they can sense it. In 1930, Gustav von Pohl, accompanied by the mayor of a village and a police officer, checked every cancer house in town in an entire city because he was concerned about the fact that people where there are geopaths develop cancer or other illness. And you have what you call sick homes, and it wouldn't matter whether somebody else moved in there. They still got sick, like within a year or so they're sick, seriously ill too. I was talking about von Pohl got the mayor of the city, this community in Germany, and he also was accompanied by a police officer, and they came to people's houses. And this was published in the American Dowser, and I didn't write down when, but a while back. And they went to every single sick house in the entire village. Without exception, every person that had cancer was sleeping over a geopath, or sick houses. They were sleeping over it. Somebody challenged that study, even though he'd gone with a mayor and a police officer and they all witnessed what he was checking. Somebody challenged it and they said, well, do our community, and they found the same thing. 10 years ago there were 1,000 things on the market for clearing things like this, different manufacturers from different places. And some of them work great, some of them aren't worth anything. And it's because somebody thought, oh, that's a wonderful market, let's get into it, multi-level marketing, and they make things and they have a whole lot of hype that goes with it, but it doesn't work. Somebody said, I'm a tile manufacturer and I don't see how a ceramic could be special or space age. Computer chips are ceramic. They store information in a layer and you can retrieve it. Superconductors are ceramic. They don't store information, they conduct electricity without resistance. Fiber optic are ceramic. They're glass fiber, that's a ceramic. They conduct light, but they don't conduct electricity, and they don't store information. And then solar panels are silicon, which is a ceramic. And they change sunlight into electricity, but they don't do the other things. And what our things do is set up a field or a frequency which just changes the nature of the radiations to beneficial.